It's also very interesting for me, for example, to speak with the people, to communicate with the audience, because then, or after concert, during the concert, because then you have completely different stories, and they're really beautiful, or like ideas that you sometimes when you're just very focused on like a lot of pieces, and you can't find this idea, but they give you like, because they just open, they comes and hear this music first time, and they have like completely different imagination. It's very beautiful. It's very beautiful, like how music give us space to think differently, for everybody.
Artem, it's so great to meet you here on Zoom.
For me as well.
But you've been traveling, so where are you now at the moment?
Now at home.
Okay.
So I'm very happy to be in Berlin for a few days, and
Okay.
I'm quite happy. Yeah,
but you're originally from the Ukraine.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
And did you study there?
Yes, I studied there till I was 21, and then I moved to Germany, to Bremen. So I spent 10 years in Bremen, I think. So I still sometimes in Bremen. I'm teaching in Bremen, but I live in Berlin. So
yeah. Okay. But in the Ukraine, so do you come from a musical family?
Yeah, exactly. So my father and mother were musicians and both pianists. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So we were quite connected to the music because, for example, my grandfather, he was also a musician, my grandmother. So it's like we were somehow always in the music. Yeah.
Wow. Mm. So it was sort of something that you grew up with. So you heard music and piano most of the time.
Yeah, that's true. But I didn't start it professionally like till I was 7, and then so I just played the piano, as a child, as a kid. Yeah.
So you didn't get lessons from your parents?
Yes, of course I did. I did, and we went sometimes to concerts. For example, I remember from my childhood a lot that there were like meetings or parties with friends of my parents, and they all were singing Ukrainian songs or like playing for each other. It was quite a lot of fun, very old style. So you can't find it anymore.
No, I know. Well, I must say my parents did the same thing, although no one of the friendship group were real musicians or pianists. They were just self-taught and they just sang. And it's so lovely that you say that even your parents who were classical musicians or pianists, did the same thing.
Yeah, but I think it's like all about the communication, because it's like through this singing, through this, you just arrive in another level of communication. That's so beautiful. And yeah, so I was quite amazed as a child of it,
Really, but sometimes you speak out. Well, I've spoken to a few musicians where there's music in the family, where the parents played a specific instrument, but then they play completely a different instrument, then they don't follow that route. But so you love the sound of the piano then?
When I was very young, my parents brought me to the music school. It was a special music school for gifted children, but they didn't take me for first time because, their teacher.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She said like, I have no ears and nothing, but I was just very shy.
Really?
Yeah. And then second time after my grandfather, he said like, look, he has absolutely a harmonic ear, like harmonic pitch, like absolute pitch, everything. So what you're a musician, why you can't hear it? Yeah. So they tried again. And then the director of the school, she wanted me to start with the cello, but I tried cello, and and when you try cello first time, it sounds very weird, especially when you try when you wanna try it yourself. And I tried because also my grandfather, he had also cello. He could play all instruments like clarinet, cello, viola, like mandolin, everything. So really everything. So I tried also cello, but when you try it yourself first time, it sounds really strange. And I thought like, okay, I will start piano. At least the notes are there, so I can start with something. It's already pitches already there. So I thought easier. So it was my mistake. So I thought in the beginning it's much easier. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you stuck to it. And did you also play other instruments?
My dream would be to play clarinet and also saxophone, but
Really?
I never did. So maybe I'm not told to start just for me, just to try.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because the if you get to that level where you are, takes a lot of time to stay at that level or so you don't have a lot of time because every instrument needs that commitment.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But it still would be interesting because it's completely different things to play other instruments, because we are as pianists, we're always learning to phrase from cello, from violin, from clarinet, that's why, because it's completely different. I think it's very natural. For example, to explain sometimes for students how to play some move with a hand, you think about cello, because cello makes it automatically, and you just need to make the same move, but it's very difficult to explain on the piano, because it's on piano it looks unnatural, but it's actually very very natural, much more natural than we do like usually. Or for example, when you phrase or you breathe, also, and the same thing you need to do when you play piano, but we somehow we are forgetting about it.
Really? Yeah, you think, well, I wouldn't think of that because you associate that with singing or with flute or, that breathing. So it makes sense why you want to play those instruments.
Yeah, it's very natural. And I want to just understand this feeling, and I also love with the sound. Okay, maybe when I start to play clarinet on saxophone, it will be really a strange sound. So maybe I will not like the sound so much. But for now, I love when I hear it.
Yeah, but also it's not to say that you want to pursue that as becoming a concert clarinetist. You want to just have that experience, and isn't it amazing that you can do it, that you have the musical knowledge now where you have that background, so playing another instrument might be much easier then for you.
Oh, I don't know, because I heard from my friends who are working in orchestras, and they say it like, for a child to play trumpet, it's very easy, because for example, when they're doing like first courses or like open days, it's like when a child can come and try some instruments in orchestras, and they say like when small child comes and try trumpet, the sound comes automatically, because they're very relaxed, they're just they're just trying. And when you try when you're already like more like older, you're blocking. Sometimes you're trying to do something, it's not just do. You're trying too much and you're analyzing too much, you're thinking too much. So it's sometimes even more difficult. So I don't know how it works, but people say
it makes sense. Yeah, but it makes sense. The child doesn't, and children are also not scared of failure. So they just do things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But now, so you went to the college, you say, or the for gifted students, and then from there on, you went to Germany.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I started there like from my age of 7. I think when I was 7, I started, and then right after I studied in the same school with the same teacher. It was Albin Oreshchuk, with the same teacher in the same school, but it was already conservatory. The problem is that this school for Charles was already in the school for students in the conservative, like university, and it was part of this university. It's very strange thing, so quite unique. We had only a few schools in Ukraine like this, I think 5 or something like this, not or 6, I don't know, but not so much. And so I stayed in the same building and started like in the same building after 5 years. And right after I moved to Germany, and I started also only with one professor, with Patrick Byrne, like for 8 years. So I finished another 3 courses.
Yeah. But as a child, you said now there, because you started very young, was there ever a point where you thought, where you got to that teenage years, where you thought, I'm not up for this, I don't want to do it anymore? Or was it something that you really always felt passionate about?
Look, it's not like I wasn't passionate about it, but I always found another levels for me. For example, I tried to connect it with other things. For example, I was doing for 2 years only photography, and I was really crazy about photography. Of course, I played my exams, but I wasn't so like involved so much when I was teenager. So I was really focused on photography. I was in the photo club. I had like private lessons with a very famous photographer from Ukraine, and also I took also some lessons by my father because he also was making photography. So I was quite crazy with this. Or, for example, I was composing a lot, and then I started to study also composition. Yeah, so, but it was really good experience for me because when you start doing something else, for example, like photography, because then you can see your music also with in different way. It's like for me sometimes, especially like music of Prokofiev or some so people who wrote a lot of music for films. Yeah, you can see this music also like, for example, like cinematography, like small, very small, like close up. Yeah, then the camera goes away, or like you see another part, or like one personage with another personage coming to go together, like with different
amazing
pictures. So it's you see it differently. Or when you study composition, you see also very differently the music because you understand how it was created. And then you think, okay, this guy, like composer, you understand why he makes this, for example, this joke. Why is he, for example, he writes something very, very funny suddenly, but you understand that these funny things, it's like protesting, it's come from the, for example, from the first part or from first movement, and it's remember us to this, and you understand like the story of this music. So I think it's very nice experience. So it's give you a lot of different angle.
And it's so amazing because I've never thought of that, because it feels that it's 2 different worlds, but you bring these things together, or all the different things you do then enhances or helps you to be a better pianist then, or to understand the music better.
It's maybe not to be a better pianist or like or worse pianist. It's not maybe about more how it helps you think differently, and then it helps you to make your own story. It sounds. And for me, for example, when I want to go to the concert, I don't want to hear a good pianist because there are a lot of good musicians now. Like everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people plays really good, and you like understands very professional everything. But for me, it's always amazing when I can hear some story. For example, like when you hear some recording of Horowitz, he knows that every note has some different story. Okay, you may like it, some people doesn't. I don't know. Like I know some people who say it's too sweet, it's awful. Like you can't play Scarlatti like this. There are people who say it's like, okay, of course you can't. Maybe because it's different style, he changed everything. But the stories that you hear, it's so touching. And it's so genius, you can say nothing because it's completely different piece, but its own piece, like created also with the soul of Horowitz. So it's just example. It can be different pianists, but it's very good example because he played like this. And for me, it's the most important thing. For example, when I go into a concert, when I hear some musician, if I can hear the story, if I can hear these ideas, and then it's make music very different. Like because okay, in some pieces it's very important just to play what is written. For example, when you play some Beethoven and you just do what is written, sounds amazing already. But it's very difficult to do it,
Oh, okay.
very difficult to do it exactly how he writes. But in some cases, you need for example, your imagination of sound, your imagination, like, for example, okay, Beethoven, a sonata, second movement. When you think like first accord, which sound, what does this sound means for you? Like which atmosphere, which sound, which light, or something like this. What you can imagine is this few notes or just four notes what you can take. And when you have this, it's much easier to play also. And I think it's the most important thing somehow for me, and how I can say in the music, when you can hear this story, when you can feel it and recognize it.
But do you see, when you play, then do you see the story? Do you see pictures, or is it like in your imagination? Do you see it that way?
No, it's very difficult to say, because there are people also who say it's like music is music and it's nothing more. And I completely agree with it, because I think you need to live your story before you go on stage.
Oh, okay.
When you go on stage, it's already that you're just creating something. You're like a medium, you need to play, and it's nothing more. Like you just the best concert, I think, when you just being there and you just produce, like without any singing too much or something. You're just there, and your body is creating something. It's also quite like some of instruments, some kind of instrument. And then it's I think the best thing. But before you play, I think you need to think a lot of things, like yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that you need to then be just playing and make the audience then. Am I understanding it right? Then the audience can make their story from the music.
Yeah, it's also amazing. And sometimes even, when you thought about something before you played, and the audience comes to you and, I heard this idea. And like, it's your idea. Wow, you think like it works somehow, so you can get some idea. Or it's also very interesting for me, for example, to speak with the people, to communicate with the audience, because then, or after concert, during the concert, because then you have completely different stories, and they're really beautiful, or like ideas that you sometimes, when you're just very focused on like a lot of pieces, and you can't find this idea, but they give you, like, because they just open, they comes and hear this music first time, and they have like completely different imagination. It's very beautiful. It's very beautiful, like how music give us space to think differently, for everybody.
And it's true, and everybody can have has the freedom to have their own ideas, or to have their own feeling with it.
Yeah. For example, it doesn't work always, because sometimes when you like play something like program music, like, I don't know, pictures of exhibitions or something, some different pieces, when you already know, when the composer writes the story of this piece, okay, then you're already like, your brain's obligated somehow to think in this way.
Yeah.
Or for example, when you hear music in the horror film, for example, when you see this horror film without any sounds, or like film about some comedy, when you hear it or looks without any music, it sounds completely different to what you like. It looks very normal somehow, but when you hear like music, sound effects, and like creations, then you feel much more. So it's then, of course, music, it's like more I don't know, it like works for us, for the music, for
exactly. And I actually love when musicians talk about the music a little bit, because it's just to give you that guidance to where to go. I love stories behind, but I'm a person who likes stories, so I like stories behind things. So
yeah.
But you've also, and this is how I saw you on Instagram, is because you play with Maddalena Gobo.
Yeah, yeah.
So are you a duo, or how does it work? How do you play together?
Well, it was very interesting because we just met once in this region in Italy, and we tried to play together. Our dear friend said, like, guys, you need to try to play together once. And we tried, and it was really easy for us because, for me, it's in the chamber music. It's amazing feeling when you can just play and you hear ideas, you can react on the ideas of each other. You don't need to speak so much because you hear what's happening. Of course, like in the rehearsal, you need to speak about every details, and if you want like ideas, very important. But it's even more amazing when you go on stage, for example, or you just practice and you hear that the musician, like your partner, hear of your ideas, react immediately, or you, and it's so easy to play. And then the music, it's always different. You can create something different in the moment. So it's like something like improvisation a bit, but it's this unique feeling what you can have, and not always. And I think we have this. That's why for us it was really easy and to play with a lot of also pleasure, not just without any fighting, without searching or discussing. You just hear and react, and the music it just creates itself.
Yeah, I've heard that so many times from musicians who say that chemistry between musicians, how that really, changes the way you do music together.
Yeah, of course. And like when you hear this beautiful sound of cello that she has, man, it's like it's not about cello. It's more about always about musician.
Yeah.
When it hears this beautiful like sound creation ideas, it's so much fun to play. So for me, it's huge fun to play this area.
Oh, really? But tell me, do you play mainly classical music, or do you also play baroque and other genres?
I play a lot of baroque because it's probably one of my favorite like epochs, and because I think that baroque it's very very for me it's like nowadays music. It's very modern. That's maybe my strange thinking, but it matches really good to like real life, to our life now. For example, somehow these tempos that we have, like feeling, and it's much even better than romantic, or in my opinion, on the classic. So it's very somehow real for me. I don't know how to explain. It's quite different to explain. But for example, when I go in Berlin and I hear like some baroque music, so for me it worked very well with all the picture what I see.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but you know what? After speaking to Maddalena, because she's got this CD, I think it's Maddalena and the Prince. And I also spoke to somebody else who's a baroque musician and a singer who loves to sing baroque. And then I thought, and everybody, the moment they start speaking about baroque music, they get so enthusiastic. And I decided that for my next walk, I'm going to put on Spotify Maddalena's CD And what I found so amazing was my thought processes, how creatively you start thinking and how you start being more aware of the environment. It was, for me, amazing. And now I'm totally hooked. I literally go walk every day with baroque music, with her CD mostly, but I'm trying to find other baroque musicians to listen to. But I love that feeling. I can totally get it.
Yeah, the same for me, because it's, as you said, maybe it's my theory. Maybe I think it's wrong, but it's my theory, because this music, for example, when we look of Bach or Handel, it's very how to say it. It's constructed from all small motif, from all small, like it's always construction. But from these constructions, for example, and of course, this music has a lot of semantics, so like it has different meanings. Every construction, it can be some religious meaning or something else. But the way how from these constructions they made this beauty, it's so amazing for me. It's like this baroque castle like, or like baroque churches. It has something for me, something common also with architecture. But what I also love in this, okay, it's only one side of this music, like this architecture and how it constructs and this beauty, but it also has a lot of humor. It has a lot of fun. It has so many feelings. For example, in the music of Bach, first of all, we can find in Bach like everything. We can find sounds that will be used like in nowadays, for example, like in modern music, we can find already some motifs or like ideas that use Chopin and like, of course, Beethoven, everything. So it's like, like program for all other music, what you have after. So, but also it's like somehow it's for me, like basic for all also feelings what you have like in other music, so you have everything there already. And sometimes like when you think about small it calls symphony for cembalo, for clavier, I played on piano. So when you hear this music and these pieces, like it's very small pieces, like 1 minute, 2 minutes, but in every piece such a universe of feelings, of different colors, of different ideas. It's amazing. It was probably written for practice for polyphony, but for me it's also for practice of different touches, different feelings what you can find in this music, different colors what you can create. So it's amazing thing, because in this music you can find everything, like in my opinion. Everybody sees different, but in my opinion it's really you can find everything.
But what I love about that is, like, I'm not a musician, I don't have knowledge of music, yet I find even listening to the same piece again and again, I find different things at different times that I get aware of, that I'm aware of. So for me, it's like this almost like a space where you discover new things, where you discover, oh, this is there, and that you didn't hear it yesterday, that type of thing. But so I'm totally hooked, and now I totally get what the excitement is all about.
Yeah, and it's also excitement is the same way also to play it, because you find always something new. I think it's also the most beautiful thing in our profession, because you're never getting bored, because if you practice, you can find always something new, something different. Like you play different pieces, but also in the same pieces. When you play it like 10 years after, or like 2 years after, you find so many different things what you didn't see, or you can rethink on different. So it's always very interesting, very exciting.
Well, you talk about now practicing. So practicing always sounds like it's the work, it's there. But is there times where you really have to motivate yourself, or is practicing, has it become sort of second nature to you?
Sometimes you need to motivate, but for me it's like the most like beautiful motivation. It's just to find some new music. For example, I started to practice now more Goldberg variation, and it's the most beautiful motivation, because you wanna search more and more about this music, what you can find in it. But for example, when I was a teenager and I was working as a photographer, I was more focused on the photography.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. But it was also a very good experience, because then you practice very differently. You're starting to practice much more in your brain. not only on the piano. For me, for example, it's important. I can practice, for example, like for 20 minutes something, and then I need time just to sing. I can do something different, like I can go grab some coffee or even do some very strange thing like clean something. And it's perfect for me because in this time I can think about what I'm doing. And my brain starting to work much more quicker somehow when it's just, and then you go on piano, you continue it again, and it works much better. For me, like it works much better when I just, for example, sitting like for 6 hours only playing, but I need somehow much more time. So maybe it's not good for me, but I need much more time with the music because then I can practice not only on piano, but also when I was just thinking about it, or when you are concentrated on some other stuff and you're just thinking somehow like about some new ideas. It works for me much better than if you just stay like on the piano.
Well, I spoke to a singer a while ago, and she said that she's very much at peace with the fact that she doesn't have to sing every day. You know, that sometimes she does other things as well, that she wants to live life and that she wants to do other things as well, because that sort of makes her an all-round person. So what is your attitude about that?
I think it's from one side, you really need to live because if you don't live, you can tell your story. And as I said, for me, it's more important like what story you can produce in your music, or like how you can like not to play like a musical program like Sibelius or Finale. Yeah, you don't, because then you don't need to. I mean, of course, you do this professional. A lot of people will love it, but for me, it's not enough. So you really not need to live, because without living, without feelings, without sometimes good things, sometimes very bad things in your life, I think you can't have enough I don't know, enough not imagination, but enough your soul to create something, because it will be very mono, like I don't know, like a mono sound for me.
Yeah.
And but from other side, as a pianist, if you don't practice like for months, it's very difficult. Your hands will not work. So you need to be.
But do you play every day? Is that something you could set yourself out? I have to play every day.
It's not about have to, but for example, if I don't play my repertoire, I just start and sit in and improvise. And for me, it's also kind of practice because, I mean, you need to work with your hands, but your hands should be really informed. That's the problem. But especially if you're a pianist, it's like quite difficult to not to do it because then you need so much time to get informed again. And also, for example, when you don't practice for a long time, and then you need to learn like very quickly, like something like huge concerto, or it's quite risky also for the hands, because then you will have some problems. You might have problems with muscles. It depends, of course, for everybody it's different, because it depends how much muscles do you have, how much did you play as a child. It's very deciding. For example, when you played as a child a lot, probably it's easier than to have some more rest when you're older. But yeah, so there are too many, I think, things to like they're coming together to say like very concrete, like.
But for you as a pianist, concert pianist, I mean, do you do sometimes play with an orchestra, but it's mainly a pianist mainly plays on his own?
No, I love to play with orchestra. I played, for example, just remembered that because I was in Krakow a few days ago. I remember my performance with Killer, such a beautiful modern music, such a beautiful music, and with Chopin concerti. Or for example, I played like Beethoven right like a few days ago. Like, so it's, of course, for me it's a beautiful experience. But you are completely different kind of pianist, kind of musician when you play concerti, when you play solo, when you play chamber music. It's like three different personalities for me.
Really?
But it's different sound, different. For example, when you play something huge like Rachmaninoff, certain, I don't know, like some big concertos, really big concertos, you may have huge sound. For example, sometimes when I go into to listen concert and I don't hear what the pianist is doing, I think it's very big problem because, okay, of course, everybody will find it beautiful, but I think the idea was different than when you like, well, like idea of concerto in the beginning, that you're like protagonist, but sometimes you're together, sometimes you're against each other, sometimes you have dialogue with orchestra. So it's always some different. But to play like this, you may to have huge sound sometimes. So it's different way of playing. When I play in chamber music, you need sometimes play as piano as you can, or in this piano, for example, like in this like the dynamic, you need to find a lot of different also possibilities to change it, to have different emotions, to respond immediately to your partner if he or she changes some idea, or like to be very flexible, because if a different day on stage and they feel different the phrase and like it's have different idea, so you need to find somehow the way to play together. Also, it can be completely different. When you play like a solo, it's also like the range. I think it's much higher of everything, of dynamic. But so it's for me like of touches also. So it's like three different pianists.
Okay. And what do you prefer?
What I just really think what I sorry I just interrupted, but I really love this because it's different. Also, for example, you asked me about the repertoire, but I really love, like, for example, I play a lot of romantic now. I played a lot of baroque music. I play also a lot of modern music. We just played Schoenberg project. We are playing like Messiaen project in September. So it's, and I think this is the most also interesting thing for us, because for musicians, because we are like a different creature. We need to have different approach to everything, to different music, to this way with like for example, when I play with German music, or like when I play with orchestra. Yeah.
But what do you prefer? I mean, what is the thing that your strongest sort of point that you love to do?
Well, I can say it's for me very, very difficult, because when I play with the orchestra, it's an amazing feeling, of course, because it's such a huge energy that you have. It's completely different energy because you're playing with 80 other persons, you're creating together. Amazing feeling. But when you play chamber music, as I said, it's for me such fun to play together, because you're creating together. So it's it's something what you do in this moment, something like a soul what creating this second. When I play improvisation, it's the same. When I go on stage, I don't know what I will play, because it's completely improvisation. And you have such a adrenaline in your body, because you do everything right now. And it's also amazing feeling, because something happens right now, like a creation, and it's I think it's different feelings, and for me it's very important to have all of them, to be different. Not only concentrate on something. Of course, in this moment when you're doing, yes, but I think it's, for example, when I played a lot of solo repertoire, like a lot of this concerti, or then you can play something in the chamber music much better, because when you played a lot of, for example, not only baroque, but even you played some Ravel, sometimes you need this feel, these colors in chamber music, and you can put it
Oh,
there.
I see.
These
Okay,
colors
yeah.
that you can
Mhm.
produce this to different music, and it works amazing because it brings something new to this. Or, for example, when you played a lot of chamber music and you're playing solo, then sometimes you know how to especially in baroque music, how to communicate between the voices, because you need to. It's the same thing was made in chamber music, for example, because you need to hear your voice, you need to hear violin, cello, clarinet, everything, and when you train it a lot in chamber music. That's why I think it's so important to play chamber music, because if you don't do it, you don't have this feelings in your solo repertoire. Because then, when you play your solo,
Oh,
you can hear the same clarinet, here's cello, here's your piano, here's something different. And you can hear all the voices like together, like 4 or 5 voices, they're communicating with each other, have different colors, different, I don't know, substance. So it's very beautiful when you can produce it also in your solo. So that's why I think pianist, it's better, you're better pianist when you play everything, because then you have different imaginations, different. I think your ear is trained differently, and that's changed a lot. Yeah.
and
So,
is it more physical when you play solo?
how do you? How I mean, in
I
which?
mean, is it physically more exhausting to play because then it's just you and the piano, and it's all the like you say that adrenaline and you probably play louder as well.
Oof. Maybe, I don't know. For me, it's like from like after every concert, I'm quite exhausted, but not immediately, because you have some adrenaline level, and right after, you are like after 30 minutes, sometimes, yes, of course, you're exhausted, but it's also a very nice feeling, you know. So I love this feeling. So that's why for me, it's also not exhausting. It gives me also a lot of energy.
Mm.
I know a lot of people who, when they're playing a lot, they say, "Oh no, it's for me too much, and it makes me too uh, like too weak, and I can't play so much." For me, it's different, because it activates me somehow. It gives me
Mhm.
energy also, and also because for me, it's not only that when I play solo, I'm alone on stage, of course, but for me, it's more that I have this. Maybe it's something strange. Maybe physically, it's not. You can't prove it, but somehow I have this. I can feel the energy of the audience and like their vibes somehow, if you
Oh,
can say it
okay,
like.
yeah.
And when you feel this vibe, when you hear when you communicate with them, for example, if you see that the audience not there, you can change something, and then they are there. You catch them, so you are together. You're dancing like together. Not you're creating this music, not only yourself on stage, like playing. Maybe not so interesting also for a performer, but when you're like in the dialogue with the audience, when you feel this energy, it gives you so much energy also back, because
Oh,
you.
yeah. Mm.
I think it's somehow like a good relationship, like.
Yeah. But I think it's you know I've thought about it also many times. Is the audience play is part of the performance, really, you know, because the energy of the audience is so important. And I think in lockdown, I think that's what the artists always said. These empty
Yeah,
theaters where they sometimes did this live streaming, that they said they really missed the audience. They could feel the audience not there.
yeah, it was a very strange feeling. Very strange feeling. I played some concerts like this as well, and it was very strange. I mean, because somehow you have your own, as you say, energy. It's like it's concert. It feels like, but it's also something between concert and recording, because then you need to be, I don't know, like you bowl in yourself somehow. You have
Oh yeah.
communication only with the cameras. I don't know.
Mm. But oh, this is so interesting. You've mentioned so many things that I've never thought about, and that I never realized. But so interesting, your outlook. But Artem, tell me, what are the wishes for you for the future?
Wishes for me, for my career, or like for me as a person?
Whatever.
For the person, maybe very banal things, like to be healthy, and like everybody sees, because like for me, for my family, it's only one thing what I can wish from. Everything you can make yourself. Yeah, everything else. So maybe on this end, for my future, just to play more, to be because it makes me very happy. It's make me very happy to be like in the standing communication, like on stage, to play with wonderful musician like Magdalena, or like with my trio, or so it's very, very beautiful feeling, and a feeling what I really love, and what it's always with me. So I just want to be there, and maybe yeah, just follow this way.
Yeah. And do you still do photography?
Yeah, sometimes,
You do.
more now with phone, unfortunately, because it's just when you keep all your stuff like as a photographer and still scores and everything, it's just you need to be a bodybuilder, really. So like, and when you also like travel so much as I travel now, it's quite so.
Well, I think it's I also use my phone a lot because it's always there and it's in the moment, and I love photography that's in the moment.
Yeah.
But it was so lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time. Yeah, it was very nice, and yeah.
It's a great pleasure, and I hope to see you one day in concert here in Vienna.
Very nice. We are playing. I think we'll play. I will let you know, but I think we'll play in Vienna. So
okay.
I don't, because as always I don't remember the dates, but I can.
Okay. But let me know. Let me know.